Hey there, film fans. I am Jeff.
I am Dave.
And I'm John, and welcome back to The Love of Cinema, a pod in which we'll challenge one another to discuss movies, both new and old, with a strictly positive critical eye.
That's right. And to avoid any lazy negativity, we're going to make this a drinking game.
Yeah, we are.
Drinking game!
So anytime we say something negative or stupid about a film, to keep us on track, we are going to drink, people. You're going to hear this sound. And we hope if you hear that, you drink along with us at home or wherever you are.
So, pour yourselves a glass and give it up for films we love. We've ditched the Razzies this week and we've gone with just films we love.
Yeah.
So, and now I'm done with the intro. I can open my beer. I'm not allowed to open my beer, so I don't talk during the intro.
Oh, God.
Call back to previous episodes. Before we get into this week's episode, John, you want to give us some shout outs?
I do. We have a beer sponsor because we're a drinking podcast. His name is Carlos Barroza. His handle on Instagram is CBarroza Bar 2019. That is CBarrozobar 2019. And if you're digging the music on this episode and every single episode, just head on over to soundcloud.com/Dasein-artists. It's all composed by the artist Dasein. That's Dasein. And as always, if you could just rate us, review us, subscribe, like, love, all the things at The Love of Cinema Pod on all the platforms except for Twitter.
Button here somewhere.
Yeah, there's usually a button down there. Check the show notes. Twitter, for some reason, is just at The Love of Cinema. But we really do appreciate those likes and loves. It makes a big difference. If you could help us out, please, Jeff.
And we respond. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So as Dave said, this is supposed to be the 12th week of our Oscars and Razzies segment. It was the best of film. It was the worst of film. However, after Glenn Close's nomination for Hillbilly Elegy and after just whatever music was, we just had to ditch the Razzies, all right?
And he's off.
It was a fun gimmick for us. We saw some films we never would have seen otherwise.
Yeah.
But
We had a good conversation.
We redeemed a couple. There were a couple there that did not deserve
we
it.
redeemed a couple. We redeemed a couple.
Yeah,
That's right.
for sure.
For instance, we redeemed Doolittle. We did not necessarily redeem Robert Downey Jr.'s Welsh accent, but we did redeem Doolittle. For instance, I was waiting for the buzz, but Dave appreciates that too much.
There's nothing.
Okay,
there's nothing
so-
to redeem that accent.
Yeah, there's nothing.
So today we have
to
two
get it right.
Oscars films with 11 Oscar nominations between the two films.
Yes.
They are Minari, which is a movie about a family that hates it when their son runs. And also about how Americans during the Reagan era did not season their food. That is, chili powder was a real surprise to the 80s Americans. And then Promising Young Woman. I don't have a catchy tagline for that one. I'm just going to leave that one alone.
Yeah, I think you should leave that one alone.
We're going to talk about them in a second, but first we would love to keep you all up to date with what we've been watching. We had a short week this week, so Dave, did you get anything good in there?
I caught up with a couple of the series I'm watching. Of course, Falcon and Winter Soldier's still going. Bit of a by the numbers episode this week, but still good. They are going there in certain areas that a lot of people hope they would. And also just for fun, a couple of years and years ago, I watched David Lynch's Eraserhead, and I was doing some work this week on like roto work, and roto work is really boring. So I'm going to put this on and see if it still sucks. And I'm happy to report, yes, it does.
Eraserhead? You think Eraserhead sucks? Fuck you, buzz yourself, dude.
I did.
Fucking sacrilege.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you been watching the show? That's for not watching
God
the show.
Almighty. I thought you were buzzing David Lynch. I thought you were buzzing like.
No. I absolutely buzz myself.
Boy,
out.
oh boy, oh boy.
No, don't get me wrong. He's a phenomenal director, but like they should not let him write dialogue.
Oh, come on, dude. It's its own thing. It's its own universe. But whatever.
I get it. It was experimental. We've all done one.
Yeah, it's like an experimental horror film. It's fucking terrifying.
All right.
I watched The Boys.
Hey.
I did not have many nights to watch anything. So I just had 2 nights where I watched a couple episodes each. So I'm only like 4 or 5 in now, I think. So no spoilers there. I'm excited to keep going. And I've watched Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, which, that's a long fucking movie, but it is titled, as Dave was saying last week, it is cut up into 4 parts. They're basically like episodes. So if you want to cut it up, you can. But I sat down and watched it all at once, and I enjoyed it. I liked it, but I don't mind long movies.
Given the reviews of Justice League, that's the best review you could give it. It's like, I like it.
And honestly, the 3 of us, if I remember correctly, the 3 of us saw the theatrical cut together.
Uh-huh.
And I think the first thing out of my mouth was, there's no way that was Zack Snyder's cut. And then Dave said that wasn't Zack Snyder's cut. Apparently they cut a bunch of shit from it. Zack Snyder and his wife, who produces with him, had a terrible family tragedy during the making of that. So it really fell off the rails. So since then, since we saw the theatrical cut several years ago, I've been waiting to see this cut, and I thought it was good. So I do think if you like
it's really
Marvel,
funny that they're on a wave
DC
at
movies,
the
you
moment.
will enjoy this.
They're on a wave at the moment with that because they've just released the Justice's Grey version where it's all black and white as well. They've gone like Logan style.
Right.
And people have just been leaving that playing 24 hours a day to get the plays up because now they want the other two Justice League movies that he promised us.
Nice.
I know it does kind of feel like there should be a trilogy. Just real fast, Jeff, before I get to you, Dave, what did you think about the 4:3 aspect ratio?
I didn't
What did you think about him keeping it there? I don't know why he chose to do that, because he was making it during this day and age when everybody has a wide screen. It didn't bother me. I just don't know why he did it.
I think originally a lot of it was shot in IMAX. And he just kept it. But also when I went and saw it at Lincoln Center in the like cinema number 1, and it was in the 4:3 aspect ratio. So I saw the original that way.
That's what we must have both done that, and I just didn't think about it at the time. But anyway, it's pretty cool. Jeff, what'd you see, dude?
And actually, wait, first, that makes me happy because while I have not seen this Justice League, I used to work at a restaurant, John, you know the restaurant very well, where we'd have a lot of celebrities.
Sure.
And I recognized the editor of a very, very popular, like he is a personality, like possibly famous, you might know who he is, editor of a magazine that does cultural things. And he asked me, because he knew that I liked movies, what I thought of Justice League, the first one. And I said, I thought I kind of liked it. And he said, really? Because I think that Zack Snyder shouldn't be allowed to make movies anymore, which is a comment that a lot of people said. But what's really strange is when somebody makes money off of commenting off of movies and they say somebody shouldn't make movies, I'm always like, what? What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, you shouldn't yield that power. So I'm really happy that this movie's doing very well. And I'm very happy that all those critics can shove it for all the things that they said about Zack Snyder. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Okay, what I watched two things. I watched Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I wasn't necessarily ready to dive into after WandaVision, but it's cool. It's good. I really, really like it. I like the tone. I've always liked Anthony Mackie, so check it out. And then I watched a film during my workouts this week called The Vast of Night.
Oh,
yes.
I watched it.
I'm the last holdout.
It's on Prime.
Nice.
It's so fun.
Yeah,
my
it's
God.
fun, right? Yeah,
It's fun. Hour and a half.
Good.
All right.
Good. I'm glad you saw it.
I'll try and get it in this week. I got to shoot this week for 2 days, so I may not.
Nice.
We'll see.
It's hour and a half. Pretty cool. All right, people, let's get into it. So we're going to go Minari first and then Promising Young Woman. Okay, so Minari. You probably heard about it. It is only available for rent at a $20 price tag at the current moment. John was able to see it. Was it AFI? So you were able to support?
I was at Film Forum in New York City was actually going through A24's site. So maybe some of your local indie cinemas might have links to A24, but I think you can just go straight to A24 screening room, right?
You can.
I think
is that what you guys did?
Yeah. No, I actually bought it. Apple, Amazon, all of those have it now for $20.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Everyone
I did that too.
But
I'm
I
just
mean,
saying,
if you're gonna do it, support the company.
That's what I'm thinking too. I wish I didn't give it to Amazon, but that's okay. So anyway, here's the reviews. 6 Oscar nominations. You have a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 88% Metacritic score. So obviously the reviews are really, really, really good. The summary: a tender and sweeping story about what roots us. Minari follows a Korean American family that moves to a tiny Arkansas farm in search of their own American dream. The family home changes completely with the arrival of their sly, foul-mouthed, but incredibly loving grandmother. Amidst the instability and challenges of this new life in the rugged Ozarks, Minari shows the undeniable resilience of family and what really makes a home. Set in the 80s, it's primarily in Korean, so there are English subtitles, even though it is a very American story. That's the setup.
I didn't realize it was set in the 80s until she busted out that camera.
The camera, and then there was one Reagan reference. There's the bank teller. It was like, Reagan supporting the farmers. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Initial takeaways. What do you guys think?
Well, why don't we kick it off with this little bit of trivia for people? This won the audience choice and the grand jury prize at Sundance this past year. So that almost never happens. A lot of times films will win one or the other, and we'll see them in theaters eventually. And a lot of times they will make it all the way to the jury prize. Will usually make it to the Oscars. The audience award will usually be a fan favorite for that year. this movie just struck a chord. And once again, here we go. I don't know if it's because of the new rules with the Oscars or if we're just fucking lucky or if producers are taking chances, but like this was a story that needed to be told right fucking now. And I'm just so happy that we got to watch something like this, especially not I'm not saying it's because it's Korean, but it's so cool that Bong Joon-ho won with Parasite 2 years ago or last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
It feels
last year.
it's
only
more
been
than
a
a year
year.
ago.
Yeah, it does
It's been
feel
more than a year, but it's been a hell of a year. 2020 was a hell of a
Fuck
decade,
you, 2020.
right?
Yeah, it's just so cool that we got to see once again, even if it doesn't win. And I kind of do think this is going to win Best Picture. I think it has a really strong chance. I think it might pull all the way out. I do think that this was a really wonderful contrast to the intrigue and the mystery and the interesting style of filmmaking that Bong Joon-ho has. Bong Joon-ho, excuse me, versus this, which is just so approachable, family, slice of life drama. It feels, it's one of the most American movies I've ever seen. And I mean that with as much respect as possible for these Korean immigrants' story. Because, I don't think any of them were straight from Korea. It sounded like the Daniel, who's nominated, right? What's his name? That's nominated for Best Actor, him and his wife.
Stephen Yeun.
Stephen Yeun's character and his wife, I think they were both living in California before they made this journey to Arkansas to try to start their farm.
Correct. So they've been in America for 10 years.
Yeah,
exactly. So I just appreciated it so much because it did not feel like some cliche, like off the boat kind of telling of what most immigrant stories that we've seen set in America have been. This felt, I'll just say it again, I feel like it was one of the most American stories I've seen in a long time. And I think every person who was born here or not born here would know what I mean when I say that, if they give this movie a chance. What do you guys think?
Well, first up, I just want to congratulate Jeff on the correct pronouncing of Stephen's name.
Thank you so much.
We did we shouldn't be congratulating ourselves about that, but we did an Oscar announcement show, and we had so much trouble with what the actual correct pronunciation of his name is. Now, I went away and did some research. Look it up, because there's an amazing video with Stephen Yeun and Conan O'Brien, and they've been friends for 4 years, and at that point he felt comfortable telling him that he's been pronouncing his name wrong for 4 years, and he told him on the plane and he's said on the plane, like he told him on the plane on the way back from Korea, but then he shared the story about how even his cousin gets it wrong, so we're in good company.
Okay, good. Thanks for bringing it back up. That sounds good.
But yeah, no, I feel like we needed to reference that. We'll own that. And you obviously did the research and got it right. And
Stephen Yeun, Carl from The Walking Dead.
Yes.
He's been around for a
while. This is not a movie I would normally go and see, which is why I'm glad about this podcast. But I'll tell you, in the first 2 minutes of this, not a word is spoken.
Yeah.
And it's just them driving to their house. But with the way it's directed, the way it's captured, I fucking laughed out loud 2 times. Like,
so funny. Yeah.
There's all this like physical comedy and reactionary comedy just hidden in this thing, and it's amazing. Because the story is literally just a slice of life story. It's like they're struggling, they're trying to get through, but there's all this just gold of like little moments with family and everything that are amazing, and they're hidden in this film, and I loved it for that. And again, it's like I didn't pick my phone up once. I just sat there and we turned the lights out. We sat there and had movie screening in our living room, which was something I was against because I love going to the cinema, and these home streaming things, I'm a little bit iffy about them, but I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed it. And it's such a good film.
Dude. Lots of comedic moments. I cried 3 times and I laughed out loud several times. And there's so much good. I don't know, Jeff, maybe you can talk more to this, but like a lot of this script revolves around the point of view of the youngest son and the dynamic between him, this young boy who is kind of trying to grow up with in America, in the South, sort of trying to make some friends with some of the local white boys. And you can tell that even at that age, that tender age of 5 or 6, however old he's supposed to be, he's starting to feel the pressures of grandma smells like Korea. Grandma is kind of weird. Grandma doesn't, little American boys aren't pretty.
You're not a real
cute.
Grandma. What a line, right?
Yeah,
you're not a real grandma. The grandma's like, oh yeah, how so? And he's like, well, real grandmas cook chicken nuggets. And she's like, oh, right. I could do that. Do you want me to do that? It's great.
So funny.
Quick note on this, technical wise, it was shot in an Arri Alexa Mini, but they used Panavision P vintage glass. and the vintage
Nice.
it's like a remodel of an old lens, and it's like it gives you that look, and it's a beautiful
Wow.
look. Like, and you can tell like every image was carefully chosen on this.
Yeah. But
Oh
what
my
did you
gosh.
so Jeff, what did it do for you for like, I mean, there's so much to mine in a good family story. And I feel like a lot of plays that I know you and I are fans of, like there's so much material there. Everybody can relate to everything. What did you feel like was special about this movie in terms of the family drama? What did Minari do with the family drama that maybe we've never seen before? Or the way they did it was so special.
I think what works really well in this film for me, like specifically to the family drama elements of it, is that it establishes just a very real story, and there's tension, there's problems, there are people who are unhappy, and it's not going to be easy to get out of it. But they honestly, it's like when season 2 of a television show introduces the perfect character. You didn't realize what was needed in this story until that grandma shows up, and she shows
Mm-hmm.
up. She comes from Korea, and she adds this freshness, this element that we've already sort of hinted at, especially with her relationship with the younger boy. But the way she's watching wrestling, and just her attitude and her way of life, she very quickly becomes sort of the favorite character in the film. Like, she becomes the go-to person when they go to the church together, and the grandma's like shitting on everybody at the church in Korea, and so they can't understand what she's saying. She's calling everybody fat, and like all the things that grandmas do, and and it's so charming. And then of course, towards around the climax and denouement of the film, and you realize that the grandma, might be leading towards further problems and complication. It's heartbreaking as the audience, the viewer, to be like, well, I thought the grandma was going to take care of all of my problems, and instead she's really pivoting it into a new direction. So as far as like the film perspective of how they captured this family, I really think they set it up really well. They made it realistic and believable, and then when the movie needed something to happen, they just introduced the character, and that's all they needed to do.
Yeah, I think Lee Isaac Chung understood. I'm pretty sure that's his name, the director.
Yeah.
Lee Isaac Chung. I think he understood just dramaturgically. I just agree with you so much. Like, there was probably, for another person, maybe a lesser writer director, they would have thought, we've got enough obstacles here. A Korean immigrant family moving to the South, trying to start a farm on not a great piece of land. I think that's going to be enough.
Yeah, more racist moments, like things that they could easily insert into
exactly.
This.
I think what Dave said earlier, though, she brought this levity to it, and she gave us a lot of the best comedic moments, which in turn created the ultimate drama at the end. I think she's heavily involved in 2 of the most dramatic moments towards the end. So I really just feel like that's just really excellent storytelling, just on the page. I feel like you could tell that, like, this is going to be more than just a family struggling in the South as immigrants in the 80s. Like, it turned into something else because of her. And I just thought it was so delicate. It was so tender, and they navigated it so well. I didn't feel like anything was preached to me at all. I feel like I was just following this family around.
Hey,
it was almost you, Jeff. It was almost you.
I hinted at the running thing before with the kid, but little things like that, where they keep telling the kid to stop running, and for the first 3 or 4 times, I'm like, leave the kid alone. Like, you're ruining this kid's track career. And then after a while, you start to go, wait a second. Wait a second. There's probably something more going on. And that, like, that's a surprise in a good film. Something as simple as, wait, maybe there's a reason that he can't run, is a surprise. Whereas other movies really try to spoon feed surprises at you.
I love
but
how,
it also wasn't
we're
like
5 minutes in.
Sorry,
we're 5 minutes in, and they've just got out of the truck, basically, and they cut to a look on his wife's face, and in 1 3-second shot, they sum up that she's totally convinced he's crazy, and they've just ruined their lives. Like, exactly where she stands in 1 shot. And she gave a phenomenal performance opposite him as well. That was a great like, everyone in this cast was phenomenal. Like, even the daughter underplayed it as the trodden on, shot off to the side daughter. Like, she's not a prominent member of the family, but when she's there,
in the film,
and when she's there, and she delivers her moments perfectly. But like, she's off to the side. She's got her own thing going on that isn't part of this story.
Yeah, I liked her a lot, because I feel like all these interviews that this cast is getting, it's all about the little boy. And of course, he did a really, they captured a really nice performance from this young boy who's never acted before and stuff. But she has a role that is way more understated. She's not a prop for him. She's there. But I feel like the style of filmmaking allowed you to look into her a little bit more. Dave's not alone. I feel like the other people, my brother and some other people I've talked to who have seen this, we've all said the same thing about her. They're like, I didn't feel like she was just in the background. She wasn't set dressing to her younger brother. She had a life.
Yeah. No, I can
because
give
the
you
way this
the best example I can give you is that the daughter character felt like there was another camera crew following her around, and there's another movie that happens off this. Like she's got her own thing going on, and she occasionally drifts through their story. But I feel like there's a whole other story going on over there. Like
and Will Patton as Paul, who's like the closest member of society that the family sees. The family's living on this farm, kind of in isolation for a lot of the movie. And they do go to town. They go to church. They go to get a loan. Like you do see them do some things, but this is not a movie about them trying to assimilate into society. It's not like that. And then Americans say no. Like that's not what this movie is. This movie is literally, you get rid of the Korean spoken language and you make this family any other family, and it's just any other American. It's an American story. It just happens to be in Korean because that's their particular experience.
That was Jeff providing an example. He's not saying we should get rid of the Korean language.
Yes,
because it really works. Yeah.
But yeah, when Will Patton's the one character who comes around to help. He's a veteran, and he's just getting paid probably very little to help farm, and he has very weird traditions of his own. He's definitely very religious and has his own ideas of what religion means. And he's just such an interesting supporting character that works so well and fits into everybody. I love Stephen Yeun's arc in this story. You know, he's young, and in a way he's playing up like the maturity from what I'm used to seeing him. I didn't watch a lot of Walking Dead, but he was a kid in Walking Dead. He's a kid in Walking Dead, right?
Kinda,
he's like the young, kind of naive.
I mean,
one.
he has a huge arc where he gets to that,
and he grows.
Well.
He grows up. He has the relationship.
Biggest arc in that show. One of the biggest arcs.
I mean, he had one of the biggest reactions on the series. I can tell you that.
Yes, 5. But Jeff, I agree with you, dude. I feel like the maturity he had. So again, I listened to a couple different interviews. A24 did have a Q&A that was attached to my rental, and he got a lot of questions just because apparently Plan B produced this. So this is Brad Pitt's company, and God damn it, what is her name? His partner, Brad's partner. They found this script. They tend to produce a lot of book adaptations. This was an original script, and apparently Stephen was a part of bringing it to their attention. And
Didi Gardner?
Get developed. No, Stephen Yeun.
It's Didi Gardner, the partner of Brad Pitt. She's a producer.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Did they? Am I making that? I thought they co-produced this with A24. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It was them and A24. Apparently, it was just A24.
A24 bought it.
All right, but Plan B produced it. Anyway, I can look this up. It doesn't matter. The point is, Stephen Yeun was a part of kind of carrying this thing into reality because Lee Isaac-Chung had not done a lot of huge stuff yet. Well-respected director, had done very well in some major film festivals around the world with some other films. But Lee was kind of the name, which is, it's not a huge household name, but, he's recognizable. And he just kept talking about how, it wasn't just the actor thing where he was saying it was such a great script and I wanted to be a part of it. And I think Lee's really talented. He kept saying specifically how much responsibility he felt like him and the rest of the cast would have to try to tell such a delicate, tender story about an experience that is very dear and near to them, but not, again, like we're saying, not just because they are Korean, but because they are trying to exist in this current America, which is, I guess, it's always felt that way, I'm sure, even if circumstances change. And I just felt like he had in the interview and in the film, you can tell he kind of approached this whole project with a very heightened state of maturity. It just felt like everyone involved was just like so grounded in telling this thing. I don't think anyone thought this film was going to win every award and that they were going to become famous. I think they've been so humbled by this whole thing that I'm just proud of audiences in 2020 for propping this fucker up and giving it the due that it has, because it may have slipped through the cracks 10 years ago if it had gone to Sundance.
If anything, has taken a year off from going to the cinema and having all the blockbusters postponed. If anything, has it brought a little bit of, I want to use the word taste, but higher expectations of the filmmaking itself. You're not just gonna walk in, see some explosions, go cheer, and walk out with the crowd and feel great. And sure, you go and buy that on Blu-ray, but whatever. But this is something you see and you think about it. And I feel like it's been a long time since people have like the other stuff is so frequent and so there, it's a distraction. Like you just go and see the easy stuff, and this is stuff that you have to choose to sit down and watch. And I feel like it's great that in this time, it gets the window it gets.
Yeah. But I want to.
I really hope that changes people's viewing habits a little bit, because it certainly changed mine.
But yes, I want to talk about
Nice,
that.
dude.
The first thing I should say too is that Minari got a lot of buzz after Sundance when the Golden Globes announced that they were not going to consider it for Best Picture. They were only going to consider it in the foreign language category. And Minari immediately responded and was like, it's set in America. There's not 1 second of this film that is set anywhere outside of America. But because it's a foreign language, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association decided that it can only be a foreign language film, which of course it won that Golden Globe. So it got a lot of attention, especially after Parasite last year.
They couldn't fit it in because they had to make room for music.
Yeah, there's already 2 different categories for Best Picture, and Minari didn't finish. Stupid. Anyway, I want to talk what Dave was saying about, specifically movies translating to TV, which is where we are now. I'm so sick of hearing the conversation of like, well, the cinema is only for action movies, right? And then you sit there and you constantly hear, will Falcon and Winter Soldier translate to TV? Because it's a huge action movie. You need to see that sequence of them flying. It's always a canyon. They're always flying in canyons. Why is it that everybody jumps out of a plane over a fucking canyon, right? And so it's a Falcon. Yeah, so many canyons. And it's like, well, gee, how are we going to watch that on TV?
America's a beach and like a harbor and just fucking canyons in the middle.
Yeah, as if the 90s action movies didn't keep Blockbuster around for 20 years. People watching Die Hard and Air Force One and Point Break, like, oh my God, gee, I don't think Die Hard every year people watch and say, oh, this should only be seen on a big screen. It's so stupid, but every year it comes up. And then the reason that Minari and Nomadland and Roma a couple years ago, the reason that they struggled with the small screen, it's not them, it's us. It's the way we watch it.
Yeah.
We get up to pee. We get up to get drinks. We get up to get snacks. We say halfway through we should get ice cream, and then we lose the momentum. Whereas when you commit to the theatrical experience, it's not just about the going there. It's that you succumb to it. You sit there in the seat. Hamilton's like 4 hours long, and people stay quiet for 4 hours and don't go up to pee at an inappropriate time, and they just sit there, right? But for some reason, in movies like this, it's us. We sit there and go, well, I'm a little bored now, so I'll go do something else. Everybody who saw Roma in the theaters talked about the sonic experience of feeling like they were in the house because the sound was done so well. You felt like you were there, and it puts you in this meditative trance. But with this kind of movie, I still think it does really well on TV, but please give it the attention that it deserves. Please make a choice.
I couldn't agree more. Dave, you kind of said it earlier. Like, I feel like it's like reading, you want to read your page turners, you want to read some literature every now and then. Like, I don't want to be a proponent of this. I think there should be a healthy balance, but maybe that balance is subjective. One of these movies, if we watch 12 things a week, let's say whatever, a show and movies and a combined total of 10 to 12 things, if one of those was something like this, you're going to be a better person for it. It's going to challenge you because there's so much more to think about when you see a movie like this. And there's so much more to merit it on emotionally, because there's more interpretation. It's just a higher level of drama than, the fun stuff that we enjoy watching as well. So even if you walk away from this year, giving yourself the permission to seek out something challenging once a week versus when I'm home, I watch fun stuff and I'll save the challenging movies for the theater whenever things get back to normal. I think you'll benefit from it. We have this show has gotten us on point, right? And kept us watching some good movies throughout the year, as well as fun movies.
Yeah. This last 30 minutes is so good too, right? Like we keep talking about like there's no action. There is. It's just most of it is in the last 30 or 40 minutes because you need to understand the family. You need to get them in order for the audience to be able to be rewarded with situations of whether or not all of this hard work could pay off. And from the trip to going to sell the fruit and going to the hospital and then coming back and all the, I don't want to spoil anything that's going on near the end, but it is powerful.
Yes.
It's earned. It's not just like, yes, there's action. It's like,
but also it is a constant struggle. Like we're like right near the beginning when they're driving back from town and he's like, oh, that's weird. The sky's green. And both me and my wife went, oh shit. Like I grew up in the country. I know what that means.
And it was a perfect, again, dramaturgically.
Granted, in my case, it's hailstones the size of tennis balls, but yeah.
Hailed down here the other day. Dramaturgically, it's kind of my favorite kind of climax too, that comes out of well-earned emotional drama. Jeff said, we don't want to give it away, but there is something that happens physically to their home. And because of that, where they are emotionally, it takes what they are dealing with up a notch. So it's not just this external thing, and now they're only dealing with a storm that approaches their house. It is everything that has built up to that, which changes who that event changes those stakes so high. And then it bleeds into this other thing that happens to just the children because of the, again, it's just so well done structurally that you don't feel like you're just watching drama induced because this event happened at the end of a series, of the episode of a series, and you have to watch the next one to see how everybody feels about it. It culminates into that. And it's just, I don't know, that's how you do it. And this did not get any nominations for sound. Hold on. This did not get any nominations for sound, but I was...
Score did. That's it.
The score did, but I loved the sound design of the farm, the insects inside the house. I thought they did such a good job of helping you feel like when that child ran outside, listening to the insects there. I don't know. I just felt like it sounded so beautiful to me. I was a little disappointed it didn't get a design nomination, but whatever. Dave, what were you saying? My bad.
I'm just saying, like, this, like the son in this, when there's like family comedy you can relate to. Like, he's like, I don't want to like sleep with grandma, and then it cuts to the overhead shot of the two of them in bed, and he's just laying there staring up at the camera, and the grandma's like snoring her head off next to him, and it's like
awful.
It's like these classic, like, everyone's been in that situation where you've had someone, like, you know, the family's got a visitor and someone's dumped in your room, and you don't want them there, and then the snoring starts, and it's like, church was a disaster for this kid. Church was a disaster for this kid. Like,
as it is for a lot of kids.
Like, but it was like so awkward, but also like the grandma nailed the delivery in that one. That was one of my laugh out. That was one of my laugh out.
She's a rock
moments.
star. Yeah. She's like a movie star in Korea. Like, she's like a big deal. A lot of big projects over there. So I think that's so cool. They got her to come over here and just walk right in and show us all how it's done. That one was fucking on point.
Her name is Yoo Jung-yoon, and she is nominated for Best Supporting Actress, and she really could win this. It's a very interesting category this year. Olivia Colman already won an Oscar. Glenn Close could win, but Hillbilly Elegy is. We already discussed.
Well, the funny thing is, the grandma is basically Korean Glenn Close in
this
film. Like,
yeah.
But as far as like what a supporting role can do to a film, I mean, this is the best example you could have. What she does to this film is exactly what you want from a supporting character. It's why I hate category fraud so fucking much, because this is what the supporting characters are supposed to do. What she does with the little bit of time that she has, that is what is supposed to be rewarded in the supporting category. Not, oh, Brad Pitt, we could fake our way into pretending like he wasn't a fucking lead of that movie, even though he had a 30-minute set piece in the middle, and the entire climax and third act of the movie was 100% his, but apparently he's not the lead. He's just some guy that's sort of there to help sometimes. Get the fuck out of here with that category fraud. She should win Best Supporting Actress. I think she should.
I think she very well may.
Do I cue the playoff?
I don't know.
Dude,
here's the last thing I want to say about this.
I'll tell you one quick thing though. Like, when there's a cautionary tale in the middle of this, when the water stops, and it turns out he's used all the water, and he won't say anything to the family, and he walks out of the room, and his wife's like, "Oh yeah, the water stopped. He used it all in the crops." Your wife always knows. Don't not tell her. She always knows.
Therese, did you hear that? Oh my gosh.
She already knows. She already knew he was going to say that. She just gave him a look when they were watching it. Like, I know. I heard, again, in another interview, I heard that initially in the script, Lee Isaac Chung wrote in a voiceover at the very end of this movie that basically was very well written. All the actors were like, it's kind of sad I didn't get to see this come to fruition, but it ended the film, and it was basically saying this was for our parents. This was for people who came before. This is for people trying to find their voice in this, pluralistic society. And I just have to take my hat off to him for cutting that, because I think he realized this is cinema, and I don't think we would have had the same conversation we just had, and people would take away whatever they're going to be able to take away from this film if he would have told you why he made it at the end of it. I think that would have made it a little too specific. So I think, again, that's just another really mature move by the filmmaker to say, this movie doesn't need that. It's so obvious what this is about to me, and maybe it can be that obvious to somebody else. It doesn't have to be the same thing. And I think that's why American audiences are responding so heavily to this, because, again, it is not exclusively an immigrant story. It is much more than that. And I just couldn't be prouder of them for doing this, dude. I think it's so cool. Do you guys think it has a chance to go all the way, or do you think it's going to lose to something else?
I'm not sure, sadly, that Steven has a chance in the best actor category. I'm not sure he was featured enough to get enough votes in the for screen time and stuff. I mean, he gave a phenomenal performance, but I'm not sure if he's like on screen enough to justify a best actor. But it definitely has the role to get it everywhere else.
Yeah, I think
the supporting actress.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I think Nomadland
original screenplay. I can see it getting screenplay.
I can see it getting screenplay. I think Nomadland just has the momentum, and sometimes voters it's like if you're not voting for the thing then you're voting against it. You know what I mean? That's just sort of happens.
See, I think Chloe's going to win Best Director. I think this one might win Best Picture, but we'll get there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to do our picks. So.
Yeah, we're going to do our picks. All right, people, we are going to wrap it up there with Minari. You can go check it out. As we said, it's $20 as of airing of this podcast at the end of March 2021. Maybe it'll go down, but go ahead, support the local cinema. Give it $20, watch it with your family. It's still cheaper than what we do in person, so give it a go. And we're going to take a quick break. We are going to be back to talk about the 5-time Oscar nominee, Promising Young Woman. We'll see you soon, Phil. And we're back.
We're back.
Back there.
All right, people. I hope you enjoyed our conversation about Minari. Of course, you can reach out to us with your thoughts. All of the socials are in your episode notes, so check us out. We will respond.
Just a quick thing before we move on. The normal title slide we have from doing the Razzies came up when I hit the break slide there. So it had a "Was it really that bad?" tag next to Promising Young Women. That was unintentional.
Oh no! Did you take it out?
Completely unintentional. No, it's there. There's nothing we can do about it. It's a hard graphic, but yeah, that was one thing I forgot to change. That's on me.
Wait, so there's a graphic that says "Promising Young Woman." Was it really that bad?
No, that was during our break. While you.
Oh, just during the break.
Just during the break. Yes.
Okay, sorry guys.
Yeah.
Promising Young Woman. 5 nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director for Emerald Fennell, and then of course Best Leading Actress for Carey Mulligan. Not her first time in the Oscar watch here.
And the poster is hard on the eyes too.
The poster, the poster's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I found a couple summaries of this film. I want to read 2 of them. One is short. A young woman, Carey Mulligan, Traumatized by a tragic event in her past, seeks out vengeance against those who crossed her path. Pretty short and right to the point.
Yeah.
The other summary I found, this one's on Metacritic, so I don't know where it came from. I don't know who wrote this one, but this is curious to me. The other summary is, everyone said Cassie, Carey Mulligan, was a promising young woman. Title. Until a mysterious event abruptly derailed her future. But nothing in Cassie's life is what it appears to be. She's wickedly smart, tantalizingly cunning, and she's living a secret double life by night. Now, an unexpected encounter is about to give Cassie a chance to right the wrongs of the past. So the critics are a little all over the place, but it has a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, 70% on Metacritic. So that's an interesting little drop. And it's sort of a tale of fantasy revenge versus redemption. That's the pitch. Yeah. Who wants to take it away with their initial thoughts?
Oh boy.
And that's the show, everyone. Thanks.
Yeah, that's the show. Honestly, you guys, I feel like I wish we could just be like, and now our panel of female audience members is going to talk about this thing, because I just feel like this is one of those movies where I feel like I need to see movies like this a lot more, and I need to just watch, and I need to keep learning. I think there are some opinions I could have, about the filmmaking and the structure of the script and stuff, but everybody knows what this movie is about when they're watching it. It's addressing some issues that need to be talked about. And I think they thought putting this dark, murderous revenge spin on it was going to be a way in to get a wider audience, so it wouldn't feel like an issue movie. And I don't know, did that work for you guys? Like, just the revenge aspect of it?
Fucking-lutely. It worked.
Yeah.
So?
I'll tell you why. Like, the tone of this movie deliberately fucks with your mind. It starts off with all these guys drunk partying, and like there's lots of crotches in cameras and stuff like that.
So gross, dude. The first second of this movie
screams, "Hey guys, this is what you actually look like."
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of men will not take an objective view of themselves. Now, a lot of the subject matter in this is like basically to give a little bit of it away. She goes out, she pretends she's drunk, and finds a guy who's going to help her. And of course, that guy invariably tries to take advantage of her by getting her back to his apartment and trying to sleep with her. Every time.
I think they find her. I think it's important to say she doesn't approach guys.
She doesn't approach guys. She just sits there, and the predators find her. And so they end up back at her apartment, and then she reveals that she's not drunk, and you're a fucking asshole, and it's very confronting. Now, hats off to her performance, because she plays it in such a cheeky anti-hero cool way that guys who have come close to this, or guys who are like, well, no, I'm not like that, it sneaks under the barriers. And so it kind of gets in there, and you take the message before you realize that the message is pointed right at you. And I feel like that's directing, that's screenplay, that's performance, it's all those things. And I feel like this one is done really well. It kind of brings your defenses down in the fact that she's a little quirky, she's a little fun, and then it gets really awkward because, let's face it, I don't know about you, but I recognize some of my own behavior in some of this in the lead up to it. Like I'm the guy that will walk up and help someone. I'm not the guy who gets them in a cab and like tries to take them home. They go home. But like I'll put them in a cab or something like that. If I'll do that.
Dave's
for
married
guys,
now,
girls,
by the way,
anything.
we should say.
Yeah. There's a funny story I could share, but I won't. But anyway, but even then, it's like the initial act of going up and helping someone is exactly the same. They do exactly the same thing. But then once they get them alone and separated from the herd, that's when they turn it and try to take advantage. And it's a confronting issue, and it's an issue that's happening everywhere. And I feel like good for them. Like, this was a great
film. And I feel like it's just more about like, you kind of like the same conversation we've been having this whole year with all these great films told from voices we haven't been hearing as much from over the history of cinema. I think this is a perspective and a point of view that I'm still learning about. So even if it does feel like, oh, I'm learning about something about myself through the eyes of someone else, or, oh, I don't know if I saw myself that way. I feel like one thing that was overwhelming to me that made me very uncomfortable in I think a good way was that there's at least a chance that maybe they were saying with the story that in the eyes of a lot of women, a lot of men, if not maybe not every man, but a lot of men are potentially predators. I think they did a good job of casting the guys who she went home with, because they didn't seem like, we all know these guys. What is his name? Brody from the OC or whatever. McLovin. Like we know these dudes.
Christopher Mintz-Plasse. Yeah.
So I think and then Bo Burnham ultimately, which I don't want to give away any of the major twists and stuff, but they did a good job casting to make you feel like surely these guys aren't going to do something super sick. They're not the obvious gross guys. And yet guys are, at least in this perspective that I'm learning about, there's always the potential for the turn to happen and for these guys to turn into something else. And she gives that speech to McLovin where she says, like, every week I go do this, and every fucking week one of these guys approaches me and they always say they're going to take care of it. So it's like, it's still kind of the same story over and over again. And I don't know about, I'm just going to put myself out there. When the women's movement started happening, and I think the zeitgeist started concentrating on these issues very seriously, I was desperate to learn more about that perspective, because I felt like I didn't know that. And I felt like I had not been doing a good job up until that point. The more I would learn about, like, oh my God, I maybe I've been, hopefully not anything like this, but maybe I have found myself doing something that was seemed as uncomfortable. And I feel like this movie and more movies like this need to come out, because I think as a man, we need to learn how to start navigating the fact that there's a chance we are doing things that make women uncomfortable. And if you felt uncomfortable watching this movie, then you have something to learn. I don't know if there's any other way to say it. Do you know what I mean when I say that? Or
yeah, no, I
did you guys feel like you were, did y'all sit 10 feet away from this, or did it really, was it making your heart beat? You were like, oh my God, I hope I've never made a woman even feel like there's a chance that could happen. And yet, did you guys feel that way at all? Or did you feel totally safe when this movie was over? And you're like, oh, I'm not that guy at all.
No,
are you ready?
I definitely, like, I was like, there is education
Thank
for
you.
everyone in this. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. And it's important. I just want to make that point. Hold on. I just want to make that point, because anyone who's seen this movie, what we are up against, there is a terrible, disgusting, black and white, awful act that is the thing that sets off her initial trauma. So I'm not saying most guys are that, but I'm saying they did a good enough job of giving the nuance to the other guys that she messes with and does her thing with, that I felt like I could relate to enough of the things where, even though I'm not those guys that did that thing, that terrible thing in her past, I might have some of a little bit of the other ingredients that I think every man on earth needs to check himself and start thinking harder about, because we were not told not to do that for most of the history of mankind, and that's fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Everyone's really thinking carefully about what they're saying right now. It's a minefield. And yes, I'm sure, you get the Harvey Weinstein shit coming out and all that sort of stuff. Right. And it's like, this stuff happens, and it's been happening for years. And why did it take so long to deal with? And it's because it just happened and everybody shut it down. And this is exactly what this movie's about. So, like, when she goes into the dean's office, and she's talking about how there was an incident.
Yeah.
And the dean's like, oh, well, was the incident reported? And she's like, yes, it was. And she's like, well, who did she speak to? Well, she spoke to you.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the dean.
There's a female character,
it's a female
by the
character
way.
as well, yeah.
And
but she has no memory of it whatsoever, or she claims to.
Mrs. Coach T.
And this is how this is happening, and it's just kind of, I don't know whether it's fear or whether it's like, I have nothing. I don't know why this
Jeff,
has been happening up to this point.
Yeah. Jeff, what do you think, dude? I'm nervous of you right now.
I'm really struggling because
I'm really struggling
because I did not love the film. But
I didn't know if I loved it either.
But it's fair. It's. I spent a lot of time wondering if this had nothing to do with awards, if this came out like summer, spring, fall, whatever, and it just became a cultural moment, like in the past when that used to happen with movies, and everybody talked about it, and we didn't have to think about it in terms of awards. I really tried to separate that from my brain, but I hear everything you're saying. I'm seeing everything you're saying. I saw it all. I felt most of it, but the film. I'll go back to the summary, which is so arbitrary. It's so arbitrary, but it says here, nothing in Cassie's life is what it appears to be. I would say 20 minutes into this movie, everything in Cassie's life is what it appears to be. She tells us everything. She tells us all of this.
Yeah.
So
First
from that
scene,
point
she
on,
tells us,
and
yeah.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying I see it all. I know what's going on at this point. The first one is so awesome, and the way it ends, and it cuts to the cold open and the walk of shame. It's so exciting. I'm like, what's going on? And then the next time they just tell you the whole game, and it's like, okay, so where are we going to go now? And yes, the Connie Britton scene. You're mentioning all of the good things. You're mentioning all of the stuff.
I mean, your argument might not be with the film. It might be with why are we paying marketing so much money to come up with these crap headlines.
It's true. No, that's true. But I'm digging a little bit. And what I would say too is, and again, this is almost unfair of me to do, but I was really struggling with what to say. That I went and I did read around for critics, and most of the critics that gave this a negative review were females. A lot of them were women, and I found that to be kind of surprising. But
except that one really controversial one.
I don't know what it is.
I think it's what I was saying earlier, dude. I
Yeah.
think it cuts itself off the shins a little bit by making it an obsession revenge tale, as opposed to something that I think a lot of women have dealt with. And it doesn't turn into what it turned in for her. I feel like it became that speech she gave about her friend Nina at the very end, when she's kind of given her, she's almost the anti-hero villain at this point, and she's kind of, in terms of tone, not, you might not interpret it that way, when she's about to carry out her final act, and she's kind of talking about Nina like she's like there's this crazy obsession that she had with this girl, and her entire life is now derailed, and she's getting vengeance, and it felt a little less relatable than what I think I was expecting, which probably is wrong. I shouldn't have gone in with expectations, but I thought this was going to be a little bit more obtuse, using a thriller genre so that it would feel a little bit more realistic, that a lot of women go through this, and this is one way this woman is choosing to deal with it, as opposed to something so incredibly specific based on revenge that it turned into more of a revenge movie than a movie about the issues I think she was hoping to talk about. It also got a little gray for me in the scene with Alfred Molina, who plays the lawyer who got the guys. I did too, but I thought he plays the lawyer who basically bullied Carey Mulligan's friend from her past, who was a part of this trauma, into dropping a lawsuit, a case against some guys in school for doing this. I don't want to give all the details away. And she went.
And he did that regularly. He did that regularly. That was his job. Was basically to represent men against all these accusations by discrediting the woman.
Yeah. Sorry, and he basically says, no, you're good. He basically says, I've had a huge come to Jesus, this giant epiphany, a psychotic break. So he's not working at the time. And he basically begs for her forgiveness so that he can sleep at night and forgive himself. And kind of as a twist, she gives it to him. And then she goes outside, and you realize there was like a hitman out there, or some person she was waiting to pay off to go beat the shit. I don't know what that guy was going to do. Yeah. And it kind of, for a minute, I was like, I couldn't tell. I was like, did I like that she was okay just apologizing? Is that the theme of this movie? That she really is just looking for these men to sincerely say, I was wrong, and apologize? And so I was kind of ready for this movie to turn into something more than just the revenge thriller. And it didn't, though. It went back.
She's caught off guard there. Like, she's caught off guard by that.
I know, but I thought she was going to learn from that. And I thought it was going to affect her differently. But I think when she found out the stuff about Bo Burnham's character, she doubled down and went even harder in the revenge direction.
Well, yeah.
And I just don't know if it ultimately gave me the I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I just feel like, Jeff, I think I agree with you. I wanted it to work a little bit better than it did. I think it ended up cheapening itself a little bit for me, which is a shame, because I feel like there was so much potential there, and Carey's so good in it.
She was really good at it.
The story, we keep talking about the revenge thing, but the story that actually has the through line through this film, I'm not talking about the circumstances with the themes and all that kind of stuff, which I couldn't agree with you more. Like, we need more of these films, and we shouldn't even be allowed. We should just sit the fuck back and listen.
Yeah. Let us reiterate that. We probably should not be talking about this film, but keep going.
The story of this film becomes, is this going to be who she is forever, or can she move on? Can she date and fall in love with men again, and get back. You know, she doesn't have to be she doesn't have to go to med school again, which is where she dropped out of Promising Young Woman. She doesn't have to do that. But has she become a revenge monster, or can she move on? I think that's what this movie becomes, the story of this. But all of the things we're talking about don't really have much to do with that at all. So the genre, I don't know, for some reason it just gets a little murky in there, and it's okay that this character doesn't have any wrongs, but there's nothing that this character does in this movie that's wrong. She makes some choices, and technically they have consequences, but there's just for some reason it just seems a little neat and tidy. Not that every single messy subject matter needs an equally messy movie, but it just, you asked me, like, was I sitting 10 feet away? No, I wasn't. For the first couple times I was, because I was like, well, maybe even if that wasn't going to be me, maybe I could be perceived that way. And I did actually take note. This does happen. I believe all of the survivors. I listen to accusations. I'm with you. I want to make sure that I'm not perpetuating any of this. But did I ever feel like in my gut, like, ugh, queasiness? No, I didn't. Not during this movie.
There were a couple of times I felt a little bit ill, like when they turned it around and started with the manipulation techniques. I mean, like,
anytime she was unsafe, and I thought she was unsafe for sure, I was like, fucking queasy.
I mean, we get it. That's a major element of the film. I want to talk about the filmmaking itself. Okay. Carey Mulligan was awesome in this.
Yes, 100%.
Like, she played at least 7 different versions of herself as well, and like there were the scenes where she thought, you know, she was having, you could tell she was having second thoughts. There's the scenes where she's just the cool anti-hero. I did love the offset framing they used a lot with her. Like, they kept putting her in weird spots, like the bottom of the frame. It was almost like watching season 1 of Mr. Robot.
Yeah, like I thought, yes, because she was in like the bottom left corner of a frame at one point.
And they kept.
I feel like it's like, are they like teaching that in cinematography school? I feel like I'm starting to see that so much. It's starting to be.
Well, everybody watched Mr. Robot season 1, so yeah, it's happening. Like, it's going to happen. Get used to it.
Yeah, yeah. I do think there were several. Overall, I wasn't distracted. I was thinking more about the writing, but there were a few moments that I thought directorially were very successful and built a lot of suspense, and there were some that really didn't work for me. So I still feel like
Emerald
Fennell is still, you know, I know she has experience. It's not like she doesn't have experience, but I still feel like maybe she almost got there for me. But there were still a few times, like the Molly Shannon scene when she goes to see her friend's mother. There were a few moments that I know, I was just thinking on the script, like, why was that not done in close up? Why am I not feeling more when the mother of her friends looks her in the eye and says, you need to move on. Please move on for all of us, blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of just like, I feel like I'm just getting information to move forward. I didn't feel like I was being affected the way I wanted Carey to be affected. And I think there were a few moments that I just blame Emerald for that. No, no offense. She did a lot. I know she did a lot of the, I thought she did a lot of the, the grosser date rape scenes really well. Like, I thought, like, she was static when she needed to be static. She stayed with Carey's point of view, or she removed us from Carey's point of view really well, so that we were just observing her and objectifying her a little bit when she was playing the drunk version of herself, which made me feel icky. So I felt like in some ways, she was super nuanced and it was very effective. And then some of the heavier and more emotional moments, I don't know if it really rung for me. So once again, that's kind of another reason why I kind of felt like I was admiring what Carey Mulligan was doing as an actor, but as a character, I felt like I was getting further and further away from her the longer this film went on. And I just don't know if that's intentional or if that's because I'm a guy and I brought some of my own conflict into this. Did you guys feel that way at all, or did you feel like?
I mean, the one thing I will point out is that, like, you wanted to turn it around. You wanted to walk away from this, and then she gets she meets a guy, and it's all going well, and then you're like, this is going really well, and then it's going too well, and you're just waiting for it. And it's both me and my wife picked the twist, like 20 minutes before.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. No, it was like, no, that's. She said to me, it's like, yeah, this is gonna happen. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And yeah, and it's so in that case, maybe, it was a touch predictable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Jeff, I agree with what you're saying. They do. Like, we're all sitting here like, not because we want to do the right thing, not because we're scared and we're assholes and we're trying to not do the wrong thing, but like we want to try to be respectful of the subject matter. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little shocked that this got as much acclaim as it did from the Academy. I think she deserved to be nominated for actor. I don't really want to go into the details of the other awards, but compared to the other movies that we have seen this year that we have just been gushing about, that have just touched us in so many ways, from misrepresented or underrepresented voices to stuff that you might more normally see traditionally in the Academy season. This one, I just don't know if I had the same overwhelming feeling of that may be a masterpiece. The way you kind of want to feel about Oscar-nominated movies, that may be a masterpiece, or that is certainly a masterpiece. And I don't know. I feel kind of like an asshole saying that, but just don't know if
Does that make you feel better?
Is that wait, Dave? Do we have the? You could feel better with. Do you have the? Fuck you, John. Yeah, there you go.
I told you I was keeping that on a button.
I can see the clips on social media now. I just didn't like this film. Fuck
I know.
You,
after you got such a
John.
wonderful comment last week.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
God. I don't know. You guys watch it. Everybody at home, watch it and tell us what you think. It's so great. The thoughts, the me thinking about the film, which I did spend a lot of time thinking about the film, which is why I actually looked at critics' responses, which I usually don't. I am thinking about the subject matter. I really do love the way they brought up. Why is this is a men issue, not a woman issue? I love the way that they brought that up.
Yes.
How can you forgive yourself? How can you allow this to go on? Like, how can she move on knowing that this is just going to keep happening until it stops, right? So like, how can she just start dating and not do the things that she's doing? You know, like I love that all of that was in this film, and for that I think it's something that everybody should see 100%.
The one thing I do love, and this is a thing for right at the end, so this is a major spoiler. So I'm going to give her in about 3 or 4 seconds to just mute me for a second if you don't want to find out how this movie ends. But the scene at the end where it all goes horribly wrong, and they just start wide, and they do a 2.5 minute push in, and it just holds on that shot, and it's just that guy acting and her acting, and it just pushes in and pushes in and pushes in. You get slowly and slowly close. It's like, this is in your face, and I thought that was phenomenal. And I read the thing about how she asked, I think, was it a stepfather or father who's a cop, how long it would take to suffocate someone. And
Jesus Christ.
And he told her it was 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. So that's how long they made the shot.
Oh man.
Fuck me. Jesus.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, that was such a, yeah. And apparently originally the movie ended there.
Oh my God.
But it didn't do well in test screenings, so they added the ending.
No catharsis. Yeah, they didn't get her revenge. Okay,
yeah.
Interesting.
Let people leave that theater not care. You know what I mean? Let them be like, that's how you end the movie.
Yeah.
You know?
I think, that could have been a powerful...
How powerful is that? She stands up for this. She gives her life for it, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Hey, they wouldn't.
And there's again, since we're sitting in the spoiler section, and now you've realized that we're talking about spoilers, I did appreciate how I felt like Emerald Fennell was trying to make it ambiguous in the end, because that guy was basically in self-defense at that point, which made me feel even more conflicted about what was happening. And I thought it was like, I'm still on her side, but oh my God, that like, this is just humans fighting for their life now at this point. And it just got really icky. I did like the ickiness of it. I'm just not sure ultimately in the context of the film if it took away from some of the power of what I think she was trying to say.
No, I think what it was meant to make you think that, and then it was meant to make you go, why am I thinking that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why am I rooting? Why am I half rooting for the guy in this right now?
The grossness of the human nature that we're trying to correct and nurture, I guess. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know clearly we're fumbling all over the fucking place. Watch this movie. Tell us what you think. We probably weren't the right people to talk about it, but I hope we did it with respect. Seriously,
Dude,
I
hope we
did.
I thought it was great. I have no problem at all with this at all.
Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Yeah. So people, there it is. We have a good slate for you next week.
Oh, what do we got?
I don't know. What
did you say that? Just hope. Did you say that just hoping we would have a list ready?
He did. I called his bluff because like we're near the end of the list, dude. Like
we're near the end of the list.
We're getting close.
I say Tom Hanks, which is a renter, and Another Round, which is not a renter. That's what I say for the next week.
News of the World and what?
and a first round, which is Thomas Vinterberg is nominated for Best Director.
Oh.
And it's nominated for Best Foreign Language Film, and it stars Mads Mikkelsen.
Oh,
I'm totally down for that.
Yeah,
we could also do
Mads.
Is the Father not available for rental? Because I know we want to do that
now.
one,
The Father becomes available for rental tomorrow.
I saw it today
or yesterday. Oh, it's okay.
I think we should do that. I think we should talk about it because maybe give people
renters?
more time to see that one. I mean, if you guys don't care, I know that we got multiple actor nominations, which people love. People are very attracted to those things. I've been hearing a lot about this movie.
Great.
But whatever, we can put it off till next week.
No, we got to get to it. What do you say, Dave?
Yeah. Sure.
So The Father and News of the World. So
Father
a double
and News of the World.
So a double renter for us.
Yep. I've seen some of the visual effects in News of the World, the how-tos, and there's a lot of environment recreation in that.
Nice.
Really?
Well, we're very excited to talk about those films for you next week, film fans. So excited. Thank you so much for sticking around. And again, reach out to us on the socials, subscribe, like, do all of those things, and we will see you next week. Take it easy.
What a finish.